Welcome to How to Be a Humane Leader Without Losing Your Job. Dive deep into humane leadership crafted for today's fast-paced business world. Listen to our podcast on all major streaming platforms and join us as we explore the essence of humane leadership in today's dynamic business landscape. I'm Chris Olerking, a Fortune 100 IT leader, alongside Roberto Torres, a seasoned startup engineering leader. Today we will discuss how does a humane leader help the team decide between two equal options or decisions and help the team move forward knowing that half the team disagrees with the outcome. Boy, this is a tough one, Roberto, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of things in our jobs where it is more opinion than fact when it comes down to making some decisions, and it seems like we can't satisfy or get everybody always to agree.
Yes, sir. I think it's a tough one. It is something that happens, and we're going to solve it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that in my experience with both technical decisions and, let's say, business decisions that are not necessarily around technology, maybe it's about a marketing strategy or a sales strategy or forecasting sales, where maybe there's less yes or no, it works or it doesn't work. Sometimes in our technical jobs, you can just prove something works or doesn't work technically. In these softer areas, you may get your team together and have the discussion or the debate, right? They debate their sides. People are kind of dividing into decision A or decision B, and the people who support decision A are making all their points, and people who support decision B are making their points and pointing out the flaws in A. And if there isn't a clear-cut, winner there, the humane leader has to try and drive the decision, drive that final answer, right? You may not have as much technical expertise as some of the team members, so maybe you cannot immediately make the decision, right? You're empowering the team to make the decision, but it's come down to two, option A and B, and the team's equally divided. You got 10 team members, and they've equally debated the decision, and they just can't decide to go with option A or option B. And you as the humane leader have to make a decision. The due date's coming up. It's Tuesday, November 5th. You got to make the decision because we got to get going on the project. How do you, once you're at that point where it's time to finally decide, how do you coach your team to come to a consensus and pick one direction to go? What do you do?
Sure. I think the biggest problem over here is that most people, or many people, will have biased comments on this topic, that specific topic. So what I usually do is gather data, hard data, that I to present to the team. So everybody will look at this data, and instead of maybe going stronger with their opinions, this hard data will prove maybe otherwise. So usually what I do is that is the first one. And the second one is, by bringing this hard data doesn't mean that I have the 100% knowledge of everything. What I do is to gather all the team and ask them to make them participate, regardless or if they are extroverted or introverted, to make them have an opinion, because what I want to do is to listen to them, to have active listening, but to have the whole team provide them their opinions, their hard-based facts, and not to correct other people, because we're not pointing out who's wrong and who's bad, but to mention what they have in their minds. That is what I usually do.
Yeah, if you can get them all to express and feel that they had a fair opportunity to make their case for option A or B, that always helps kind of diffuse, in my opinion, diffuse the situation, right? Kind of level the playing field to say, okay, everyone's gotten equal time to explain their perspective, but it's still, let's say it's still divided 50-50. The team just cannot seem to reach a consensus. So now the humane leader does have to pick one. We're out of time. We have to roll out the product by the end of the week, and we're down to this critical decision. And one of the things that I've done where I've had to finally make the decision, and maybe I'm not the expert in the area, but the experts on both sides have weighed it. I'm reasonably intelligent. I listen to that, and I say, okay, we're going with option A. Here's my reasons that I feel are compelling to pick A over B, but it's very close. I always explain, look, it's so close. I see the points. I validate that the team, the positive things that they said about A and B, the negative things that they've said about A and B. I acknowledge all that. I have heard your arguments. Make everyone feel heard, like you said. But I'm picking A, and here's my reasons why that lean me a little bit farther this way. And I may be wrong. The other thing is to be very humble as the humane leader, right? Maybe there's two H's in humane leadership, humane and humble, and say, look, I may be wrong, but I'm in this position where I have to have the team moving forward as of today, and I'm making the decision, and I'm picking option A, and I may be wrong. But the other part of it now, where the team is divided, all the people that loved option B, they're not too happy right now. You just picked option A as the leader. And maybe they're going to, what we call in the States, sit on their hands. They won't actively participate then. I won't sabotage it, but I'm not actively going to help you because I thought B was way better and you're an idiot for picking A. You need to be watching for that level of lack of engagement, lack of participation, and start the discussion with the side that didn't get their choice on saying, well, what can we do to help A be successful, but engage you so that you are still a part of the team? Because the biggest fear or damage is going to occur if half the team then gives up and doesn't care about the solution because their B didn't win. And so what I probably then end up spending a lot more time with the B team in communicating with them, trying to engage them, and make sure that I don't observe sabotage, where they're really potentially causing problems. It's only happened once in my whole career where I had somebody that was, and it was only one team member that was kind of actively sabotaging, but it was proof. I could see it, and I confronted them in private, said, look, I see this. I get it. You didn't win, but that's just not how this works. And I had to have what we call in the States, it's probably not politically correct, but I'm going to say it anyways. We call it a come to Jesus discussion. It brings in Christianity. You can have a come to Jesus with a Jewish person, a Muslim person, or an atheist. But a come to Jesus talk means, look, here's the facts. The decision's made. You may not like it. I saw you sabotage this and this. You reset the password when you shouldn't have to make the application fail, or whatever it is that they did, and you have the facts. And you have this come to Jesus talk with them. Look, either you get on board or we're going to start taking action to get you off-boarded, and you're going to leave. I hope it doesn't come to that, but the humane leader sometimes has to recognize that you've done all the right things. You've had active listening. You've had this debate. The decision's made. You tried to engage and coach them to participate in solution A, and they've actively done something wrong. You can't just sit idly by as a humane leader and let that happen. So sometimes the humane leader also has to be a hard leader and lay it out for them. You did this. You do it again, you're going to be fired.
Oh, wow. I never heard of someone who sabotaged that, but I would have done the same. And you mentioned some powerful words, humbleness, the first one, because we don't know the whole enchilada. What we know is that bringing hard data and providing this one to the team and listening what will make them know and understand that we could gather some decision based what we think also that could be the right decision. Because, the thing about having our opinions is that sometimes our opinions might be biased because our personal beliefs, because what we heard, maybe because we don't know anything, but because we felt fond of someone else, and this person thinks about going this way, going right or left with it. Oh no, because this person thought that going right is the best solution, the best decision. I'm going to say that, and it is something that um, it is true. It is maybe valuable in some sense, but uh, we have to guide. We as humane leaders, we have to guide people because we are humane leaders in the end. And doing so is something that is inherent to us. That's the first one. And the second one is, as you mentioned, if I find out that someone is sabotaging something, I feel that you had this humane leadership start very robust in you because I would have thought, what? You did that? Maybe you go out of the office, maybe out of the company, but we have to provide a second chance to fix the things that we have done. The thing is, excuse me, not the thing. The question is, did that person change? Or did you make them go outside the company?
I did give them a second change, and they did stick around for
Mm.
another year or two and contributed to the team and did a worthwhile job, but ultimately they chose to leave the company. Was it because of that, getting caught on the sabotage? I don't think so, but I think they realized they weren't going to get their way 100% of the time. I mean,
Mm.
some people want to be the leader and get their way 100% of the time, and that's not possible, not for a humane leader. The humane leader is going to be humble and say, look, I'm making this decision. We're going with A. I might be wrong. The humane leader has to make sure that they explain is, look, you guys made two great cases for A and B, and we can't come to consensus as a team. So I'm the tiebreaker. I'm picking A. I might be wrong, but we are going to do our best to make A successful. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to admit it, and then we'll work on B. But if anybody's sabotaging it, right, not putting in their best effort to make A successful, that's a problem. And the humane leader can give a little bit of flexibility, right, to let people get on board with the solution of A and get behind it and get going on it. But sooner or later, the decision's made, and we have to move forward. And it can be tough for some people to let go of their option B, but they need to. And again, this is where the humane leader has to make the decision. I'm going to spend extra time with the B team side because I know they don't agree with it, but they're smart people. They work hard. We've had them on the company for a long time, and they're very valuable. So as long as they're participating and you work with them in all of your coaching skills and tools and get them on board, solution A can work. And it's hopefully very rare that you have someone that is so adamant about their option B that they actually do negative things. And there needs to be consequences to that. I was able to keep the damage done to be pretty minor, so nothing that needed to get escalated to HR or anything like that. We had a very frank discussion, come to Jesus talk, right? And say, look, Roberto, this is what you did. I see it. I can prove it. But I'm not taking this information anywhere. And it's not going to go in your performance review. But if you do this again, I will take it to HR, and then I'll have two things, and you won't be with the company any longer. And I said, I want to give you a fair shake. All these other great things that you did Q and X and T. don't throw all that away. You can be a valuable player here. This one decision didn't go your way, so why give up? And, I think it was very successful in bringing this employee back into the team. And ultimately, the project went very well. And their status in the team actually improved. So it can turn positive. But the humane leader has to realize that it is going to take extra effort with the B side of the argument because they lost. And that's just human nature. When you didn't win the argument, you feel dejected, you feel lost, you feel like, well, why am I here then? Whatever the, feelings are that they have. So that the humane leader spends a little extra time to coach them, to get them moving on the A solution. And hopefully, right, solution A turns out to be the right one, and we work on the next project, right? And then there'll be another series of decisions to make.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Whoops.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I didn't watch it. Great, man. One thing is that we all people, all around the world, we have deep in our roots, deep in our foundation, some ideas, and we think those ideas are the correct ones, the proper ones. So I think going that deep, we won't change for everybody or anyone. We won't change this foundation, but we have to be a situational leadership, a situational leader. That means we could switch from a human leader to an autocratic leader if the situation demands it and requires it.
Yes.
So it's not something that, no, you have done so bad, you did all this sabotage, and we will let it go, and because we are human leader. No, man. We are a leader because of the company, and we're going to provide results. If you have done this that is bad in our eyes, in the eyes of HR, and the eyes of the company, of the business, guess what? We're not going to be we're not going to have a mild decision about it. We're going to act accordingly to the facts and the hard data. So that is one thing that a humane leader has to be really aware that maybe the harsh decisions are going to be taken at some time and going to meet them. And when usually a member of the team sees that your humane leader changes, is like this example. I remember well when I was a teenager, and suddenly my mom streamed to, she was on another floor and I was somewhere else. Roberto, come to my room. I said, oh my God, this is going to be some problems. And because if she was going to get mad something, I did bad. So maybe this example doesn't go along, but it is. When you see that your humane leader changes his or her behavior towards a problem, it's because something really bad happened.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And, I think to your point, we have to use our leadership style skills and tools for different situations, right? So when the team is operating properly and everything's going great, being a humane leader is very easy. And all you can do is you just be humane the whole time. It's when things start to go wrong or things are getting behind schedule and you need to start doing some different things that sometimes you can't be as humane as you'd like. I think you can be an autocratic leader humanely, right? But sometimes you have to be tough. Sometimes people need to get fired. That is a reality. It's not a pleasant reality, but it does happen. I think a humane leader, when I talked about humbleness too, I didn't make one other point was that I think even in our technical fields, right? So both you and I came from technical areas. I think when you really objectively look at a lot of technical decisions, a lot more of it is opinion than fact. There are things in engineering, et cetera, that you can scientifically prove, in the lab, repeatable results that, yep, that is a fact-based decision. But a lot of technical solutions that we implement in the business world are actually technical opinions. So the humane leader, I think also in being humble, needs to recognize when we're making this A-B decision because the team can't decide, is recognize that, yeah, we're using facts as much as we can because that's a good way to make objective decisions. But even those fact-based decisions lots of times have a very big factor of opinion on it, and you could be wrong, right? So if you made a purely fact-based decision that turned out to be wrong later, then how did that happen? Were your facts incorrect? Then maybe it was a little more opinion than you realized. Maybe some of the facts were slightly distorted because somebody had an opinion and was trying to prove option A was better, and they gave you some facts that turned out later to not be true. So, I think that humane leader recognize you're using facts, but recognize the decision might be opinion, and be humble and realize you still might be wrong. You picked A, but you should have picked B, but you didn't know that at the time. And one of my bosses gave me some great advice on making these kinds of decisions. And he said, look, we are in a technical, this is in the engineering side of the business. And he's like, look, today's the day you got to make the decision. You could be gathering facts forever. Make the best technical decision that you can based on the facts you have right now. And if some other day some facts come up to disprove that, then we'll change our decision. But today's the day you're making the decision. And I think that if we keep that in mind, that, look, we're making the best decision we can. We've got the facts, but we've got a team equally divided. I'm using my final judgment, which is by definition opinion. We're making the decision, but let the team know you're being humble. I might be wrong. So if we need to change the decision, we will. But I want 100% of people on board getting solution A moving forward. And I think the team can respect that if you explain it well, and you'll have a team that 100% is behind, getting option A into production and make your company successful.
Nice. Yeah, I think that pointer that your boss gave you is the best one to do, because if you try to find the root of everything, more problems are going to rise, more bad stuff is going to be in this mixture. So a decision has to be done. And usually we done that, not as human leaders, but as any decision in our lives. If we see a health problem that has to make a decision right now, we do it. There is not a saying, but something that one of my leaders a lot of time told me many years ago, and he told me that every decision that we made, we cannot think that it was a bad decision in the future. Every decision that we make are the correct ones, are the proper ones. So we have to stick with that. Why we chose to go to this side of to go left is because we thought it was the best decision. So when the problem arises and there is no much time to make a decision, go and stick with that, and don't be disappointed at the future because we have done that. It was the best decision to do.
Yep, it was the best decision we could make at the time with the facts that we had at that time. And that's part of, again, that humane leader being also willing to admit that they turned out to be wrong. but we're 100% behind A for now because that seems to be the right thing to do. Let's do it, and I need everybody on board. And again, the humane leader spends a little extra time then with the B team to make sure they stay on board and explain, maybe they need a little extra coaching to get behind it. But it is, a decision that sometimes the humane leader has to make if the team is equally divided.
Yeah, great, man. I do. Well, cool. So I think with this, we should end this episode.
Very good. I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. Bye.